way this could actually be happening to me. But then, just as I was sure I was gonna die, I pulled the covers up over my head like this. Even though there was no way it was alive, I felt like it still had some version of a soul in it. I could tell that it knew I was there.
A thing happened in front of my eyes. I was beside myself. This was the point where I confirmed that somebody's either trying to play a trick on me or there's something in this house.
For a living, doing dance and breakdancing across the United States and Canada. And it's really become a whole cultural aspect to my family because my mom, she's from Tobago and loves to dance. I didn't believe so much in ghosts until my ghost story. I thought that they were just a figment of your imagination or things like that. And then when it really happened to me, I was terrified. At first, I didn't say anything. I think that it has affected my art in a way that's made it better. I had more confidence, actually, because my greatest fear already happened.
Novelists and filmmakers, dancers and sculptors, musicians and playwrights, actors and poets. They're artists, and most of them claim to have a muse to inspire them. The ancient Greeks believed that inspiration was something that came from outside sources. The Greek muses were the goddesses or spirits who inspired their literature and art. In Roman mythology, every man had a genius and every woman a Juno. These are personal guardian spirits. They give artistic prowess to the men and women they watch over. Hello, I'm Lawrence Chow. Today in Ghostly Encounters, we meet Jonathan, a dancer, and TJ, a musician and songwriter. Both Jonathan and TJ claim that ghostly experiences made them better artists. Jonathan tells us that he had a horrifying experience with spirits. Just 8 years old when it happened, the experience has stayed with him throughout his life in ways he could not have imagined.
That night when I was 8 years old, I woke up, I looked outside, I could tell that it was really early in the morning. I wasn't sure what time it was. I'd figured it was around 2 or 3 a.m. I could see a little glow from the moon and from the stars, and just enough light to be able to see the shapes in my room. So I'm just sitting in my bed, and I turn my head and look over to the chest of drawers. I couldn't reach the top drawer. I was a really short 8-year-old. All my friends had surpassed me by that point. I notice that the top drawer is open, which was really strange considering I can't reach the top drawer. As I was watching the chest of drawers, the drawer that was open, this skeleton folded itself out of the drawer. Most of the skeleton's body was in the drawer, but its leg was just hanging outside of it. And it turned its head towards me and looked at me with no eyes. As I looked at it, I almost expected there to be eyes because I could tell that it knew I was there. Even though there was no way it was alive, I felt like it still had some version of a soul in it. Then it turned and started to look in my closet. Of course, wondered, why is it looking at my closet? So I looked over. Through the wall came this hooded figure. It was similar to, I guess, a ring wraith from the Lord of the Rings, except for I couldn't see its face. I couldn't see its arms. I just saw this hooded figure. I then turned to look back at the skeleton, and it started to fold itself, almost like a contortionist, back into the drawer. And this hooded figure started to slowly, I mean, extremely slowly, move towards me, and it was just trying to edge at that moment. Every moment was like a million seconds almost. I felt as every second could have gone for a year, because I was just that terrified, and this being was moving so slowly that I didn't know what to expect. At the time, I could only hear my own breathing because I was so scared. I was trying to look to see if it was a man or something, but when I looked in the hood, there was nothing there. Like, I could see just like the beginnings of the insides of the cloak, but I couldn't see any face. I couldn't see anything there. It was just like a blackness that stopped right where a face should be. That was the most terrifying thing for me, was that I felt like there's this being here, and I knew it couldn't be an actual person because I can't see their face. I just saw this hood and cloak that went all the way down to the floor. I couldn't even see feet. At that point, I started to get really afraid. I grabbed my covers and was holding them for dear life. I pulled the covers up over my head like this, never shutting my eyes once. I was too terrified to even look at it anymore. So I ducked under my covers and started pinching myself and saying, okay, dear God, wake me up. I must be asleep. I must be asleep. There's no way this can actually be happening to me. But then, just as I was sure I was gonna die or something, I felt a hand right on my knee. By the time the shadow reached the foot of my bed, I was too terrified to even look at it anymore. So I ducked under my covers. And then, just as I feel like I'm gonna die, I feel this hand on my knee. It almost felt human, but I didn't know whether it was or not. And at this point, I was too terrified to ask or say anything. My breathing had completely stopped. I was just, at this point, I really was convinced that I was about to die. And so I was like, I better get some strength and face this thing, because I was paralyzed with fear at the time. I was thinking, could this be a demon? Could this be a ghost? I'm gonna die right now. You better be prepared. After about 2 seconds, when I was sure that it was gonna happen, I just pulled down my covers to look and see what was there. And nothing was there. I didn't have enough courage to get out of bed yet. But within about 10 minutes, I was able to get up and run to my parents' room and sleep with them for the rest of the night. When I told my mom the next day, she at first went straight to thinking it was a demon, because she'd grown up in Tobago, and there's sort of this spiritual undertone there that demons and spirits are around you all the time. And so she told me immediately that she thought that it could have been something like that, coming to try and touch my life or to try and affect my life for how it could be in the future. After that event, all of my dancing style changed. I was a lot more aggressive. There is a sense of fear there that it could come back, that it could happen again. I wanted to learn all the hip-hop things because I wanted to be strong. I definitely feel empowered by that almost.
Jonathan tells us he found this spirit in the long cloak far more frightening than the skeleton. In fact, Jonathan calls this spirit a wraith. Most of us know wraiths from the film trilogy Lord of the Rings. But before Tolkien's novel was published in 1954, wraith was just another word for ghost. It's Tolkien who made them the embodiment of evil. His wraiths are 9 men who succumbed to the seduction of power, attained immortality, and became powerful servants of evil. Jonathan tells us that his horrific experience with the skeleton and the wraith empowered him. He never wants to feel that open to harm again. He vows never to give in to his fear, and he'll use his newfound confidence to take his dancing to the next creative level.
I spent a lot of my spent time in the basement. And I actually had a housekeeper that lived in with us for about a year. She had grown scared of the house increasingly. She would actually get my dog, Sneaker at the time, to go downstairs first before she went downstairs. She always felt that there was something down there, something talking to her. Eventually, she would see and experience so many things to the point where she had to move out. She had lived in what's now my control room. That room ended up becoming my studio where I write my music. It's where most of my inspiration comes to me.
Like Jonathan, musician and songwriter T.J. Habibi thought ghosts only happened to other people. But then something changed his mind, something that terrified him and affected his art forever.
Even when people weren't home, I would hear things creaking upstairs, walking, big steps. From then on, it just kind of developed into something a lot more intense. There was one incident where I was sitting in the control room. I heard a little bit of a turned around and I actually saw my CD tower, the CD tower that actually holds the CD cases. One of my CDs was teeter-tottering like this. And I looked at it and I'm like, okay, this is bizarre. I had to go closer to it. And maybe it was a mouse or something. As I went closer, there's no mouse. And I stared at it for a good 15 seconds. Confirmed. The thing was just moving on its own. I was sitting in the control room. I turned around and I actually saw my CD tower. The CD tower that actually holds the CD cases. One of my CDs was teeter-tottering like this. The thing was moving on its own. There had to have been at least 10 or 20 CDs on that rack. The one that was moving was mine. In the corner of your eye, you would see something. And at that point, I knew something was trying to talk to me. This was the first time I'd actually been freaked out and scared of something that happened in my house. One night, 4 in the morning, I was setting up my microphones, just preparing for a client. I'd heard this buzzing noise. It was like machinery. It was coming from the laundry room. That I had gotten as a kid that I had never turned on since the 80s. It's the kind of machine that you'd have to turn on physically. You'd have to take the switch and move it to the right. So it's not like a radio-controlled robot. It's just the switch on or off. I wasn't hallucinating. The thing was on. After seeing that movie Poltergeist, these teddy bears coming to life, clowns and all this stuff, and it's been engraved in my head that I don't want to ever see that, you know, and having dreams, nightmares about these things. A thing happened in front of my eyes, and I was beside myself. I couldn't react. I couldn't move. This was the point where I confirmed that somebody's either trying to play a trick on me or there's something in this house. And there was nobody in that house. I didn't sleep that night. I had crashed at a friend's house. I just couldn't sleep at my house that night. The next day, when I had pulled myself together, I went into that laundry room again. I tried to turn it on, but it didn't turn on. After all these things that had happened to me, I'd taken it upon myself to turn my mics on and just to see what would happen. I'd leave them on all night, pressed record for a good 10 hours while I slept, just to see what was going on. I would review the waveforms, the audio waveforms of the basement. In a normal environment, yeah, you wouldn't hear anything. You would probably hear the odd wood crack or something upstairs. There was something that was caught very quiet in the rehearsal room. There was some conversation there. Two completely different personalities just talking. I brought the volume up a little bit and put a limiter on it, just making sure that everything was nice and raised, and to the point where the clock was ticking so loudly. There's this two people talking. I was really frightened, but I don't think these people want to hurt me, but I don't feel that they're necessarily interested in helping me. I just think they want to play a game with me. I think they just want to taunt me. They just want to have fun with me, and that's fine, you know. I'll indulge you. I think it's sometimes my own fault when I get scared. I don't think I should be scared. It's just my own, you know, fight or flight instinct, or you know, the fear comes over me when my robot turns on, you know. It's, you know, but I haven't been threatened. Nothing's fallen on my head. Nothing's, you know. So it's all been good things. To this day, I still feel that I'm inspired by other powers, others, spirits, if you will. There was something that was trying to be said. There was something that was trying to be expressed, and it probably was best expressed through my music. Sometimes it's just the most bizarre thing when these lyrics come to me that I normally would not even, these words that I would never use, and they would come to me mostly when I'm in that house. There is a song called Ghost of Santa Fe. The lyrics start as, I've been sent through 3 feet full of lead and a vent to tell you that you must repent. I don't know what's talking to me. I don't know what they're trying to say. I've been making it my life to try and translate what I can and put the pieces together as much as I can as the years go by, and hopefully one day this will all make sense.
TJ believes paranormal forces inspire his lyrics. His lyrics don't come from his conscious thoughts. They just appear in his mind. He's not the first writer to make a claim like this. The famous 18th century English poet and artist William Blake drew, spoke, and wrote about his visions and conversations with ghosts and angels. In the 20th century, poet William Butler Yeats won the Nobel Prize for Literature, but claimed his creativity often came from spiritual channeling. Many creative artists talk of a higher force dictating to them. This puts ideas or visions in their heads. In extreme cases, they speak of this force taking over their bodies so that they don't even recall creating the work of art. TJ and Jonathan both make a connection between their art and what they believe are their paranormal experiences. But there are differences. In TJ's case, the paranormal itself is an active participant in the creative process. The lyrics just come to him. But the paranormal isn't responsible for Jonathan's creative process. It's his experience with the paranormal that drives him to change the way he dances.
Being on stage wasn't as scary for me anymore because I'd already faced one of my big fears. I definitely feel empowered by that almost, because it's like once you have your fears gone, you just can go up, right? You can accomplish whatever you want to, right?
This foreign inspiration that has come to me has opened up a whole new portal of creativity, and it's given me a direction. I feel that it's helped me a lot. I feel it's opened up directions I need to go or would like to go or can go.